All right, guys, I just had full knee replacement surgery, including 2.5 months of rehabilitation and physical therapy in a foreign country where we don't speak the language. Now, we've documented this on our YouTube channel, but we've had a ton of questions, so we thought we would do a video where we just kind of put everything together and review the whole process from the actual medical costs, incidental costs, transportation costs, housing costs, let you know exactly what it cost to get surgery in Colombia.
Yeah, and it was a really big process. And for those of you who followed along, you know it took several months, and some people missed some parts, and a lot of people wanted a consolidated version because they were maybe interested in getting surgery in another country or specific Colombia and Medellin. So we wanted to provide the details for you guys. And so here we go.
Well, first of all, if you're new to our channel and you don't know who we are, my name is Snow. This is Curt. Almost 3 years ago, we sold everything we own back in the United States, including our house, cars, and everything. Moved into a van that Curt turned into our tiny house on wheels, and we're on a 10-year journey around the world. We've already done the United States, Mexico, Central America, and this knee surgery incident came upon us here in South America in Colombia. So that's who we are. If you don't know, welcome to the channel. All right, so we're gonna break this down into categories. And as we're talking about a category, we're gonna use round numbers and kind of tell you what it costs. You're gonna wanna stick around till the very end of the video because that's when we're gonna add all the categories together and give you a detailed breakdown of exactly what it costs to get surgery in Medellin, Colombia, a major surgery. So the first thing you have to do, of course, is all your pre-surgery testing. Now, before we get to that part, we need to tell you that we actually came to Colombia and interviewed 2 different surgeons. Now, we started in Medellin, where we met Dr. Pardo and interviewed him, and then we drove down to Cali in southern Colombia and interviewed with another doctor. Now, ultimately, we decided to go with Dr. Pardo here in Medellin. We did a whole video explaining why we chose Medellin over Cali, and why we decided to do this surgery here in Colombia rather than going back home to the United States. So if you want to know more about that, you're going to want to watch that video, and we will put it in the description of this video so it's easy for you to find. Yep. So the first thing we did, pre-surgery testing, just like you would do for any surgery. Lab work, EKG, just make sure you're healthy. Something that was a little different to us here is they also send you for a dental appointment to make sure you don't have anything going on in your mouth. And I think they do that to kind of help with keeping any infections from happening from your surgery. So that was just your basic stuff. That cost us about $95. US dollars. When you hear us say dollars, we're talking US dollars. Now, while I was going through that testing, we did encounter a few things wrong with me. I had an iron issue, I had a blood pressure issue, so I had to do a few other tests. That is not going to be included in the grand total, but if you look right here on the screen, I'm kind of giving you a breakdown of what that cost. It was just a few extra doctor's appointments, a few extra tests, and some extra medication. But that's not included in the grand total. So let's move on to the next topic.
So for the surgery, these costs are all inclusive, and this is what they include. First of all, they include the surgeon and all associated staff. And there was a lot of staff involved, several doctors, I don't know how many. It also included the operation room, the anesthesia, the medication while Snow was in the hospital. It included 3 nights in the hospital, a private room with extra space. We covered this in the surgery video so you guys could see how big and how nice the room is. Also, it was meals for Snow. It included support from the international office. So you guys have probably met Maria and Stephanie by now, but they were amazing and helped us through this whole entire process. We couldn't have done it without them, and they were included in it as well. Now, the initial quote for all of that was $4,150, and that's what it was before we were admitted into surgery. Now, we were told that those costs could go up. They could go on depending what happened at the surgery. You want to tell them what kind of happened there?
So what actually happened is we paid the $41.50 in US dollars before we could even get admitted for the surgery. And then, you know, we go in and we do the surgery, and then my iron issue caused us to actually stay an extra day in the hospital. And we thought that was going to make us have to pay more when it was time to leave. But it ended up that a few days after we went home from the hospital after being discharged, they called us up and said, well, we owe you money. So they actually gave us $900 back, which really shocked us. So the grand total for the surgery was around $3,200, and that's all those things you heard Curt list. Now, he also mentioned the international office, and for you guys that have never watched one of our videos, you might not know who Stephanie and Maria are. And this is something we've kind of learned as we researched doing surgery in a foreign country, is some of the hospitals, definitely here in Colombia and other countries as well, have an international office. And they provide support to people that don't speak the language, don't know how to maneuver, you know, the hospital and the paperwork. So we had Maria and Stephanie, 2 interns working on their international degrees that were assigned to help us, and they were absolutely amazing. So I wanted to explain that because that might sound confusing if you don't know what that meant.
Good point. Now, something that wasn't included in the surgery was the post-surgery medication.
Yeah.
And obviously Snow was in a tremendous amount of pain after the surgery. And so these costs are going to include 2 weeks of strong opioids, also 6 weeks of pain medication, 30 days of blood thinner to keep her blood from clotting post-surgery, which was very important, and lots of Tylenol.
Lots of Tylenol.
And the cost for the medication, for that medication, was around $40 US.
Yeah. And right now, guys, you're hearing these numbers and they may sound pretty low to you, and that's because they are. $40 for 8 weeks worth of post-surgery pain medication. $40. All right. So the next big part of this process, probably the most important part of this process, was the physical therapy. A knee replacement surgery is a pretty traumatic and intense surgery, and they do a lot to your legs and muscles. They don't just replace your joint. They kind of affect your whole leg, which I have definitely learned. So physical therapy was very important. We did at-home physical therapy and physical therapy at the hospital. So 4 days a week, I had a private physical therapist, Santiago, come to our apartment and do a 1-hour session. We did that for 2 months, so that was 32 total visits. He started the second day right after surgery. He was right there with us the whole time. He was amazing. It was a very important part of my recovery. Kept my spirits high, kept me moving when I didn't want to move. And it's something that, even though the hospital does not recommend it, write a prescription for it, provide support for it, is something me and Curt went out and found on our own and made our own arrangements for, and we highly recommend it. So I will tell you that for one at-home private physical therapy session, $8.
Yeah, and if you guys watch the videos, you know, not only was Santiago very professional and very good at his expertise at his job, but he was also super cool and super nice.
Yeah,
so
he was amazing.
It was really worth the extra physical therapy.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the hospital.
The hospital physical therapy was a little bit more intense because, you know, we had all the devices that come with a physical therapy setup room, and we did 14 of those. Now, my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Pardo, initially wrote for 10 physical therapy visits, and they're 1-hour sessions, but we had a little extra time, so I asked for a few more, so we did a total of 14 twice a week. It was excellent facilities, excellent physical therapists. There were no language issues because Stephanie from the international office would go with you, and it was $6 per visit.
And again, a nice facility. They had multiple rooms there, and the physical therapist that we ended up with was
Melissa
was top notch. She was awesome, and again, extremely professional. Now, one thing I'll say is we have gotten a lot of comments from you folks and people who've gotten treatment back in the States, and I know that this by far exceeds the normal standards. So you might think, I only got like one treatment every 2 weeks or one treatment a week or something like this.
And the cost, we know that back in the States, when you've hit your deductible and the new calendar year runs around, the physical therapy cost can be preventative. I mean, it can make you where you can't afford to do your physical therapy. And down here, that just really wasn't an issue. And it was quality physical therapy. for a very reasonable price. So we're very fortunate and thankful for that.
Absolutely.
All right, so the next part of the medical stuff, it's coming to an end. It was just the follow-up appointments. I had 2 follow-up appointments with my surgeon. The first one, they took out the stitches and took off the bandages. And the second one was just where I got the all clear, was told to go on our travels, go see the world, and once a year get an x-ray from an orthopedic and make sure everything looks good. That cost $100.
Yeah, and Dr. Pardo was extremely thorough on these visits.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't just come in and, he answered all questions.
Yeah.
And Snow had a lot of questions about the pain and where it hurt. So he described the surgery and where he went in and cut and why she's feeling surgery in the different places. And it was really, really
this is a good point to kind of point this out. This is a big difference that we noticed here in Colombia versus medical at home. And we've both had extensive medical stuff in the States. Here, there's no nurses when you go see the doctor. There's no, helpers, assistants. The doctor's sitting there at a desk talking to you. He does his own reports. He explains everything. He spends a full hour with you. It's not 10 minutes and the other 40 minutes with somebody else. And you actually get on a first name basis with them sometimes.
It's really good.
It was amazing. Curt went into every appointment with me and they answered all of our questions. The bedside manner of all the doctors here was amazing. So, all right, we're done with the medical category. The next category is incidental costs. And this is kind of where I just clumped everything in that didn't have a home, but was very important. And that is, Curt, you want to go through this list here?
Well, the first thing I'll cover is the ice machine, and it was a tub that we got off Amazon, and it circulated the water through a little knee pad or a pad. And so it was basically a chiller, and it kept her knee iced, and we could run that thing.
It was amazing.
It was really, I think, a huge difference maker for the inflammation, which was necessary to move on with the physical therapy and all the stuff. Now, the one we got, we were kind of bragging about it or excited about it, but it actually kind of broke down.
At the end, it died. I wore it out. But, guys, it served its purpose. It made it through the surgery and the rehab. So...
It did.
Yeah.
And she also got a fancy leg prop pillow so she could elevate her leg, which again was important. A compression brace, her blue walker that's Gator Blue.
Gator Blue,
she was
go
so
Gators.
proud of it. Her cane, the heating pad, which we're still having the van and are using today.
Yeah, so those are all devices. And the last one we kind of stumbled up on at the end. So the international office provides the girls that help translate, but that's only Monday to Friday. And my surgery was planned for a Friday, which meant I was going to be, in the hospital without a translator on Saturday and Sunday. And honestly, that scared us. So we hired a private translator, and it worked out really, really well.
I think if you don't speak the language, if you're thinking about doing a surgery in another country and you don't know the language, I think this is one of probably the most critical things you need to do that nobody's going to tell you to do. And the reason is when you come out and you're in pain or you have questions,
you're nervous.
And you can't explain. It's hard enough when you don't have those circumstances. So a translator is essential in my book.
It made me and Curt feel more comfortable. It also made the staff, the nurses that come in and check on you every 30 minutes or whatever it is, they felt intimidated because they couldn't speak to us. And when they saw we had an interpreter there, they were very thankful, and it made the process very easy. It was not the cheapest item on our list. It was a pricey endeavor, but if you don't very fluently speak the language wherever you're going to have an international surgery, this is something you should do.
Right. So for all those devices we described, and the translator, the incidental cost total was around $730.
Yeah. Yep. All right. The next thing we got, housing. All right. So we drove in our van.
We live in a van.
Yeah. But with going through a major knee surgery, we couldn't just park in the van somewhere and sleep in it because it's just too small, and we needed to be comfortable. So we decided, that we needed to rent a place. Now, the rehab for a major surgery like this takes 3 months. We would like for it to not take that long, but it takes a little bit longer than you would expect. And you can't fly in, get the surgery in a few weeks, fly home, because there is a major risk of blood clots with a knee replacement surgery, and they're not going to let you fly for 60 to 90 days. Yeah. So if you're in the United States and you're like, I'm going to go to Colombia and get knee surgery, you need to plan on staying here for at least 3 months.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, anything less than that. We've heard stories of people getting up a couple weeks later. But most people...
But you still got the blood clot issue.
You still got the blood clot. And most people are on track with Snow's progress or even slower. So 3 months is definitely something you should plan on.
Now, we rented a middle of the road, I would call it an upper middle class level apartment. We wanted 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms because we didn't know if I was going to need to sleep in a bed by myself, if Curt was going to need a whole room. So we chose 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and we picked a neighborhood called Lorales because it was flat. So, you know, there's a lot of things that went into what our apartment cost. You could get cheaper, you could definitely get more expensive, but ours was, let's see, what did it cost? So for 3 1/3 months, our apartment, and we went through Airbnb, and that came with a comfort level of if something went wrong, we didn't have to worry about it, no maintenance issues and all that type of stuff, but there are fees associated with it. But housing for 3 1/3 months, $4,300 US. By far, one of the biggest items on the list.
Yeah, it was expensive, but I will tell you this. You know, we spent 3 months in Medellin. I feel very confident in recommending Lorales as a neighborhood to stay in. There are also other ones that we kind of covered in our videos. But if you're going to Medellin for surgery, you'll definitely want to check some of those areas out. Mm-hmm. But it's important to be in a comfortable space, I believe, for recovery.
Yeah. All right, that category is over. We've done incidentals, we've done medical, we have done housing. So the last one is transportation. It's a big city, so you're not going to have a car. You're going to depend on taxis or Uber or private driver. Our first few doctor's appointments we did with Uber.
Yeah.
And while we were doing that, we met Fabian, who was an extremely safe driver, which we learned was unusual. And he was very kind. So we decided to work out a deal with him and use him as our private driver for all the appointments that happened after surgery. And the reason we did that is he was able to be a little bit more patient. He helped me get in and out of the car. He would pull right up to the entrance, and he went above and beyond, rather than an Uber driver who needs to hustle to make more money. So that's what we chose to do. It did increase the price of transportation. Do you have anything to add on this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you could take a cab and it would have been cheaper. But I will tell you about the cabs in Medellin is they're small. And so right out of surgery, Snow couldn't bend her knee very much. And I can even tell you, Fabian had a bit bigger car with more legroom in the front.
It was still hard.
It was still cramped. And a lot of the drivers here are just absolutely crazy, like turbo race car drivers. Yeah. Again, something you don't want to be, dealing with when you're recovering from an extremely painful event.
Yeah.
So,
and in the grand scheme of things, it was relatively cheap.
It was $265 for our transportation. And mind you, Rio Negro, where the hospital was, where the surgery was performed, is an hour outside of Medellin. And so some of those trips were the longer trips. Most of them were to the local San Vicente hospital in Medellin itself, which was only about 15 minutes from the apartment.
Yeah. So that's what we spent on having private transportation. It is something we recommend. So would we recommend someone do what we did?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah, the medical care was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I would say for my top 2 reasons are, number one, obviously the cost. The cost was amazing. And America has some amazing doctors and technology and all that stuff. We felt like we got top-notch coverage here, so we haven't gotten any better medical care anywhere in the world. So for those 2 reasons, for price and quality, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Now what I've done is, we have a YouTube travel channel, and we stopped here in Medellin for the surgery. So in each one of our videos over the past 2 or 3 months, there are little segments that kind of document how this process went along, to make it easy for anyone that just wants to pop onto our channel and learn about getting surgery in Colombia. I have created a surgery playlist on our YouTube channel. So you can just go there and click right on that playlist and watch everything from the beginning till the end and not have to dive into all of our other videos or search around and look for them. And I thought that would make it easier because there was a lot of unknowns when we made this decision. So if we can help someone else make the decision, I wanted to do that. So if you're interested in that, just go check out that playlist.
One more thing is, if you have surgery in a foreign country, likely your circle of support is not going to be there. Meaning your family, friends, people might come in and look at you, cook a meal for you, help you out, maybe drop you off at whatever. Obviously we didn't have that. And so the burden fell on me. And I can tell you it was a lot of work, but it was also rewarding work, knowing that Snow is recovering. It was tough work, but just know that if you are planning to come to another country and you don't have a significant other or somebody else to give you that support, then you would probably also want to try to find somebody who can help that for you, because there's no way I can see after that surgery, at least for the first maybe week or so, getting along on your own.
You would need someone full-time for the first week, I think, at a minimum, to just be there in your house with you, cooking for you, taking care of you completely, like Curt did for me. And then you could probably have someone pop in once a day, prep some meals, keep everything clean for you, and check on you. But the hospital international office could probably direct you to that. So if you're going to come down here solo by yourself for surgery, very good point, Curt.
I think you could probably get somebody like that for $20 a day or less to support you. So just to kind of give you an idea, it might be tricky to find somebody like that, but there you go.
All right. Okay, so let's do a little recap. All right, so I'm going to actually put, I told you at the end of this video we would add everything up for you and put it on the screen. So I'm just scrolling through right now and showing you the actual spreadsheet I created to come up with the total cost for you guys. So you're looking at the medical details right now, and you see everything in Colombian pesos as well as US dollars. You see the quantity of how many next to the physical therapy appointments and that type of thing. So then you're going to see my incidentals. Keep in mind, most of those things were delivered via Amazon to Colombia, so there's the increase in price because of the delivery fees down here.
Some of that stuff you might be able to bring with you as well.
Yeah, the smaller things.
Shipping,
the smaller things I would definitely figure out how to bring with you if you fly in. And then the housing, that's a simple one. The transportation, you see how it's broke down by each appointment. And so the grand total, the absolute grand total for our knee replacement surgery here in Medellin, $9,018, including incidentals, transportation, and housing. Just legit medical costs, $3,695.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's a bit astounding at how affordable it is. One more thing I'll say before we close this video out, because I know I'm going to get asked about it, is yes, we have international health insurance. It works differently than the insurance you would have in the United States and possibly some other countries around the world. But we will submit all these costs. We do have a deductible, but we do expect to be reimbursed for maybe about half of this. But of course we have to go through the hassle of the insurance company stuff. But with that, guys, we will see you in a few days right back here on this channel, but in our van and starting our traveling around the world again.
Thanks for all the support, for those of you who watched the process of the surgery and the recovery and all the coping and all that stuff. We really appreciate you guys' comments. See you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when we put out new videos. And don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram to see what's going on in between videos. Cheers, guys!